Manchester United targeting Frimpong as their first summer signing. New technical director on the brink of joining. Mason Greenwood update on his future. And will Erik Ten Hag be sacked from Manchester United? These are some of the topics we will be discussing on the show this morning. But before we get into that, please smash a like on today's video. Subscribe to the channel if this is your first time watching. And let's get straight on into it. Let's start the show off with a little bit of conversation about the Brentford game on Sunday. And a little bit of conversation about Erik Ten Hag. Saturday, sorry. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I'm going to be completely blunt. I'm finding it incredibly difficult at the moment to watch Manchester United. I think Saturday's game against Brentford was honestly one of the worst performances I've seen in as long as I can remember. I haven't come away from a game feeling so deflated, so negative, so unhappy in a very, very long time. Now, I know people who don't follow football will say, you didn't lose, it was 1-1. That's not the point. We watch football to be entertained. And at the moment, I'm not getting any enjoyment out of watching Manchester United. It's been like this for a long time, so it's not like a one game thing. It's been a very, very long time thing, hasn't it? Obviously, the Liverpool game was amazing, but we should have lost that game, really. Like, Liverpool had many chances to end the game, and they didn't take them. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm just finding it really difficult at the moment. I am. Hence why maybe there's a lack of videos and stuff. Like, you know, this channel as a whole is a passion project. I love Manchester United. I'll always watch them, no matter whether they're playing terribly or playing amazingly. It's just very difficult to motivate myself to, you know, to get behind the camera and talk about something like this when you feel so negative about it, you know? Where do we go from here, though? That's the big question, and that's what we will discuss now. I mean, I think we're in a really difficult position, to be honest, because I'm going to be completely straight with you here, guys. Saturday was the first time where I watched that game and I started questioning Erik Ten Hag. Obviously, there's always a bit of doubt in any manager. You're not going to give them the benefit of the doubt 100%, but at any points where I'd questioned him in the past, I'd always say the injuries, he was working with the Glazers till this point. Like, you know, there's all of these things which I think give Erik Ten Hag the benefit of the doubt. You know, he won the trophy last season, our first trophy in 6 years. He finished third. Like, all of these things are incredible. And he did so well in his first year. But I remembered back to the beginning of the season, and I remember recording a video where I did my season prediction. And all I wanted from this season, okay, and this is genuine, I'm not, you know, trying to sugarcoat this. The only thing I wanted from this season was to play better football. Because even though we got third and won a trophy last season, I don't think the football was very good. I said that throughout the season last year, that I didn't actually think the football we were playing was very good last season. Yes, we got third, Champions League, amazing. Yes, we won a trophy, amazing. But generally, I don't think we were very good to watch last season. We weren't very entertaining. When you see teams like Brighton, Aston Villa, obviously Newcastle have had a bit of a downfall this season, but all of these other teams in and around the kind of top four, Tottenham this season, playing this amazing, attractive football, and we're still struggling. Now, I don't think that can be 100% pinned on Erik Ten Hag. I think that for me personally, the blame still lies on these players. A lot of these players that played in that game on Saturday have been here for too long. A lot of these players should have been sold many, many years ago. All you have to do is go back to Ralph Rangnick's comments, which is nearly 2 years old now, right? Ralph Rangnick said this team needs open heart surgery and that he expected 10 new players to come in. And that didn't happen. It didn't. I know Erik Ten Hag spent money, and I know that he's not spent it very well in some cases. I mean, Anthony was a poor signing. Mason Mount's a questionable signing. Like, the list goes on. But I still do look at the team that we fielded against Brentford on Saturday. You had Lindelof and Varane. Varane went off injured after about 20 minutes. Lindelof went off injured after about 20 minutes. 2 more injuries. You had Aaron Wan-Bissaka playing at left-back. I don't think he's ever played at left-back in his career. And you had Diogo Dalot, who a lot of people until the beginning of the season thought wasn't good enough for United at right-back. So the whole back four, I think, is questionable. And I think the whole back four, if any of those players left, I wouldn't really be that bothered. Maybe bar Diogo Dalot, who I think's had a good season. But you go then into the midfield. Kobe Mainoo and McTominay. Mainoo has been incredible. Alongside McTominay, he's doing an impossible job. Mainoo is effectively having to do 2 people's jobs because McTominay offers nothing. He gets the odd goal in extra time and, you know, slides on the pitch and all the rest of it. But other than that, he doesn't offer anything. He doesn't help us. And the point I'm trying to make here is I still just believe that 90% of these players need to be sold. And I think that no matter who the manager is, whether you bring in... I mean, the thing is as well is who is out there that's going to come and get better out of these players. And I think that's why on Saturday after the Brentford game, I felt so deflated and so low and so helpless because I genuinely think that sacking the manager is not going to make any difference. And that's the worst possible thing, you know? It's like you're in a position and the obvious option is to remove the manager. That's what people will say. Remove the manager, get rid of him, bring in someone else. But I genuinely don't think it will make any difference. You know, he was the first manager to win us any trophy of any form in 6 years. Just let that sink in for a minute. And we're expecting to remove this guy and then what? To be winning trophies again? Like, just look at the track record over history of the last kind of 10 years. And for us not to have won anything in 6 years, to then suddenly sack a manager and be winning stuff the next season, it's just not going to happen. And even if you look at it from this angle as well, which makes it even more of a helpless feeling, apparently to sack Erik Ten Hag, it would cost Manchester United somewhere around 10 million. That's just to sack Erik Ten Hag. Then you've got to remove all of his backroom staff. Apparently that's another 2 to 5 million. So anywhere between 12 and 15 million to remove Erik Ten Hag from his position. Okay? Say 12 to 15. That's the rough ballpark. Who do you then bring in? Okay, some people want De Zerbi. De Zerbi's got a release clause of 13 million. So to sack Erik Ten Hag plus all of his backroom team, plus bring in De Zerbi, it's going to cost you nearly £30 million. Let that sink in for a minute. 30 million. Our budget this summer, if we don't get Champions League football, will be something like £80 million net. That means, obviously, if we sold £200 million worth of players, which we never do, we could then spend that money. But it will be about 80 million pounds net. And you're now telling me that removing Erik Ten Hag is going to cost us 30 million, probably, total package, to bring in a new manager. You're spending half of your transfer budget to effectively remove the current manager, bring in a new manager, and then say, go and try and work miracles with these same players. And I think that's why I felt so helpless, because the football's not good. It's not entertaining. Even when we win games, we don't play very well. When we beat Everton 2-0 a couple of weeks ago, you know, I was speaking to my friends after who don't support United and said, oh, that's a good result. Are you happy with that? Of course I'm happy. A win's a win, but it wasn't a good game, you know? And there's so many instances of that where I don't remember the last time we played convincingly. And that's under any manager. That's not just Erik Ten Hag, by the way. That's under Ollie, Mourinho, Van Gaal. Like, I honestly don't remember the last time I sat there and said, that was a really, really convincing performance, you know? Really well done. Maybe in the COVID season we were quite good, but yeah, and it's just deflating, you know, because obviously times will change, hopefully, and, you know, maybe in the next 5 years we might start growing again and becoming better. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like we are at rock bottom at the moment. I really, really feel like that. I mean, Champions League football is effectively gone now. We're not going to get Champions League football. That I think that's safe to say. We have to aim for 6th place now. That has to be the target. We have to get European football of some sort. You know, I see some fans saying he has to win the FA Cup, but, you know, I'm not trying to be negative here, but do we really expect us to go and beat Man City in the FA Cup final? Like, I mean, you know, we might not even get to the FA Cup final. Coventry might beat us. That's a possibility. Like, we struggled against Newport. I think did we win 2-0? I can't remember, but I remember watching the Newport game and I wasn't like fully convinced even then, and they're a League 2 side. So yeah, it's a difficult time at the moment. And again, for all of you guys who are regulars on the channel, yeah, I apologize for those of you who, you know, follow and want to watch videos every single day, but I'm finding it incredibly difficult to, like, you know, at the end of the day, guys, I do this for fun. It's a passion. It's not my job. I don't make money from it, really. I make maybe a tiny bit, but not, you know, it's not something I do for financial gains. It's something that I do because I love Manchester United and I like speaking to other fans and sharing opinions. But at the moment, no one has anything positive to say, and it's difficult to motivate yourself every single day to get behind a camera twice a day and to talk about something which effectively is making you unhappy. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I know people will say, I don't know, some people might understand, some people might not, but yeah, honestly, after Saturday's game, it was probably the lowest I felt being a Man United fan since Erik Ten Hag's been here. I've never seen us be so bad. I mean, we literally broke all of the stats, didn't we? It was the most shots against, the most touches in our box, like all of these crazy stats, like, were broken in that game. And we were extremely lucky to get a draw. Like, we played worse in that game than we did when Liverpool beat us 7-0, in my opinion. That game was like luck. Every time they had a shot, it went in. Whereas I think Brentford had over 30 shots on target and not one of them, 30 shots on goal. and only scored 1 goal. Like, that doesn't add up. They should have got 3, 4, 5 goals based on that. I mean, what was the XG of that game? I bet it was crazy. I haven't actually looked at that. But, I mean, what did they hit the crossbar 4 times, I think it was? Like, it wasn't an enjoyable game to watch in any way from a Man United fan. If you're a rival fan, you were probably loving it, weren't you? But, you know, from a Manchester United's perspective, it wasn't enjoyable in any shape or form. Yeah, so Brentford's XG for that game was 4.3. Man United's was 0.5. So based on that, they should have got 4 or 5 goals, really. But anyway, you can let me know in the comment section what you think about that section of the show. I've just spent 10 minutes talking about that, which is usually how long I do the whole video for. But yeah, I haven't done a video for a few days, so I thought I'd give you all of my honest opinion. Yeah, so from here, we just have to hope that we get 6th place. We've got to hope that we get Europa League. I personally would still stick with Erik Ten Hag because I just think that sacking him, as I said, is going to end up with us probably spending 30 million to 15 million roughly to remove him and his staff, and then probably another 10 or 15 million to bring in a new manager, because that's the type of money you're going to have to pay. Obviously, most of the best managers are already in jobs. Otherwise, you're looking at people like Graham Potter. I mean, I can see why Gareth Southgate's been linked to United, because Gareth Southgate with England, his contract expires in December. So I can see where that link's coming from, because to bring Gareth Southgate in or to bring in Graham Potter wouldn't cost Manchester United very much money, because they're effectively out of contract or nearly out of contract. Whereas people like, you know, if you wanted to bring in De Zerbi or you wanted to bring in someone else, it's going to cost you crazy amounts of money to do that. And I just don't think that, you know, with us not having Champions League football, I don't see how we'd have the resources to go and spend 30 million total package on a new manager and then have all of the necessary funds to then spend in the transfer window on new players. I will say this, and maybe my stance has changed throughout the season, but if someone said to me, Erik Ten Hag leaves and we get rid of 90% of the players and we start afresh, I would take that at this point. I would. But I just don't think that's ever going to happen, because it's much easier to remove a manager than it is to remove players. And my fear is that Ineos are sat there saying, let's get rid of Erik Ten Hag. Let's bring in Graham Potter. Let's bring in Southgate, someone like that. That then means that Jadon Sancho will come back. It means that Rashford's, you know, been let off the hook again and won't receive criticism. McTominay would stay. Maguire would probably be our starting centre-back and they wouldn't need a new centre-back. Like, that's the easy option, the cheap option. But in the long run, we're not going to succeed by doing that. We need to literally get rid of 90% of these players, I think, personally. I mean, I look through that starting 11. I think Onana's done well in the Premier League, and I think he warrants a bit of respect. I know he was terrible in the Champions League, but I think he's done well. But if you look at the team that started on the weekend, there's probably only genuinely 2 or 3 of them that I would actually want to keep. The rest of them I would not be bothered if they left. And then it's the same when you go to our bench. You know, you look at the bench, it's like Maguire, Anthony, Casemiro, Eriksen, Tom Heaton, Amrabat. I mean, all of those players should be leaving the club this summer. Every single one of them. From our bench on Saturday, the only ones I would keep is probably Martinez, Mason Mount, because we've only just signed him and you've got to give him a bit of a chance. And that's effectively it. So out of a squad of 10 people, I'm sat here saying that only 2 of them should be Man United players. And sacking the manager isn't going to change that, in my opinion. I think that sacking a manager will just empower these players. It will empower the likes of McTominay. He'll probably get a new contract. Maguire will probably become the starting centre-back again. And that's what will happen. And that's my fear. It's a difficult time. It really, really is. And I'm really struggling to find positives at the moment with Manchester United. Let's try and find a bit of positive, though. So Man United are on the brink of employing Jason Wilcox to be the new technical director. So that's positive. That's been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano this morning. He was at Man City originally, and then has gone over to Southampton as the director of football, and now he's joining Manchester United. So we will have, hopefully, Dan Ashworth as the director of football, Jason Wilcox as the technical director, Omar Barada as the CEO, and then Erik Ten Hag as the manager, I would imagine, but we'll have to wait and see. So I'm happy about that. I think that's good. It's a positive step in the right direction, but, you know, unless he has the power to remove these players that are not good enough, then it doesn't really matter who you employ. Because if Ineos are sat there saying it's the manager's problem, not the player's problem, which they might be. They might say, oh, this is on the manager. It's the manager's fault. Then we'll get a new manager. They'll stick with the same players. We might have a little bit of a bounce. We might get top 4 next season. And then the year after, we'll just be in the same conversation. Like, we, as 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 was what's once said before, we need open heart surgery. Ralf Rangnick said it. He said it 2 years ago, and Sky Sports and all of the mainstream media said that he was a clown, and who was he, and who is he to say that, and get rid of him, and all the rest of it. And he was effectively removed from Man United, wasn't he? But he was right. He was 100% right. We needed open heart surgery. And if you look at some of the players that he was dropping, go back and look at the players that weren't playing under Ralf Rangnick, and that will tell you exactly who those players are who aren't putting in the effort and all the rest of it. We all know who they are. We don't need to, go on about it. Moving on to the next story, let's talk a little bit about Mason Greenwood, another big topic that needs to be sorted this summer, another massive issue, if you like. Everyone has an opinion on it. The Athletic are reporting this morning that Mason Greenwood is reluctant to rejoin Manchester United, and he is still unhappy over how the club handled his case. So, I mean, I've spoken about Mason Greenwood so many times. I think the best thing for everybody is that we sell him, we cash in, and we then go and reinvest that money, because him coming back to United, it's not going to... He's a good player, of course. I appreciate that. He's a good player, but it's not going to... We're not going to go from being the team we are now to winning Premier Leagues by bringing back Mason Greenwood, We won't. It's not going to make that much of a difference, in my opinion. And who would he even start over? Rashford's undroppable. Garnacho has been one of our best players this season. So what, you drop Garnacho and put Greenwood on? I don't think so, personally. I think Garnacho has just as high a ceiling as Mason Greenwood does. But you can let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section. I know, obviously, we need a squad, so you can't just rely on one player for every single game. But, for me... He will leave, I think. Moving on to the next story. This is coming up from Florian Pletterberg, who is a very reliable German journalist. He is reporting this morning that Manchester United have added Jeremy Frimpong to their transfer list this summer. He says he has a release clause of around £35 million. I mean, this will be an incredible signing, and this feels like an Erik Ten Hag signing to me. I think if we could start the season with Martinez, Jean-Claire Todibo, Frimpong at right back, and then either Luke Shaw or Dalot at left back, I think that's a really strong defence, and that should, elevate us into the new season. I'll say it now, guys. I know we still have something to play for this year, but yeah, I think it's going to be difficult. It really, really is. To achieve what people want, to get top 4 or 5 is effectively gone. And to beat Man City in the FA Cup final, I mean, anything can happen. I didn't think we'd beat Liverpool in the FA Cup, and we did. But yeah, I think we need to start almost forward planning for next year and just kind of accept that it's been a difficult season. There's been lots of injuries. But yeah, obviously I'm not happy about it, but but I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed on today's show. Again, for all of the regular people who watch the channel, I apologise if you have been, looking for me and I've not been here. As I said, it has been bank holiday in the UK as well, so we've had like a 4-day weekend, and I try and not work on the weekends or not do videos and stuff. But yeah, again, apologies to anybody who's been missing the daily videos. I am going to try and, get back on it and be a bit more committed, but as I said, at the moment I'm finding it incredibly difficult to be positive about Man United, and I simply don't want to just sit here and complain. Maybe I've done that for the last 20 minutes. I hope I've been balanced. I hope I've not just sat here and moaned for the last 20 minutes, because that's not what this channel's been built on. This channel's been built on positivity and built on sharing opinions with each other, but I can't be deluded at the same time. I've got to tell you how I honestly feel about the state of the club at the moment and what we're seeing. And yeah, it's bad. It's really bad, and it's impossible to sugarcoat that. But again, thank you to everybody who does watch and everybody who does enjoy the content. I'm still going to keep doing it, but it just might be a bit more sporadic at the moment because I'm just not feeling good about it all. But thank you so much to everyone who has watched today. If you have watched all the way to the end, thank you so much. Please do smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll speak to you all. I will be live again at 6. I'll try and do a live video this evening. I haven't done one in ages, so I'm gonna try and do that, guys. I'll do that for you because I know loads of you are asking. I'll go live at 6 o'clock tonight. Obviously, this has been pre-recorded. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good day, and I'll speak to you all a bit later.